The Forgotten Channel by Thorn Specter. There's a moment when you're deep enough into the internet where you begin to sense that you've left the mapped world behind. Pages that should have vanished are still indexed. Posts that were deleted somehow linger in cached fragments. Forgotten usernames resurface in comment sections like ghosts. The deeper you look, the more you feel that something is still alive in the data, quietly remembering. That's how I first found mention of the Forgotten Channel. It wasn't a show. Not exactly. Not a YouTube channel, not a network pilot, not even an official project. It began as a post, or maybe a series of posts that have since been deleted, mirrored, reposted, and redacted so many times that what remains feels more like a rumor than evidence. The earliest record dates back to late 2023, when a young animator named Mae shared an image of an old VHS tape on a small art forum. The tape was black, unmarked except for a single word written in metallic silver marker. Mae Final. She said she'd found it in a box of her old art school things. She didn't remember making anything called Final. She thought maybe it was a class reel, something left behind, something forgotten. She decided to play it, and that's where the story begins to fracture. The tape. Mae digitized the VHS and uploaded a short clip to a small, private Discord for independent animators. According to people who were there, and their chat logs, which still circulate in fragments, the clip lasted about 2 minutes. It opened with rough, hand-drawn animation. A girl sitting in a field, her face turned away. The lines were delicate, hesitant, the kind of animation you'd make when you're still finding your style. A breeze moved through the grass, and the sound was faintly distorted, like someone breathing too close to a microphone. Then the girl turned toward the camera. Her eyes blinked offbeat, slightly unsynced with the sound. And then, in an almost childlike voice, she said, "Mae, are you still there?" At first, people thought it was a trick, a pre-rendered name keyed into the animation. But those who watched the clip later swore that the name changed. Some said the girl said their names instead. Others claimed the voice was different each time they played it. When Mae tried to play the tape again, the animation wasn't the same. The girl wasn't sitting anymore. She was standing closer to the screen. That second clip was never uploaded. The disappearance. Mae's social media began to vanish soon after. Not all at once. It was slower, more like something pruning her history over time. Her Vimeo links went dead. Her ArtStation redirected to a generic 404. Even archived versions of her portfolio, the kind stored by services that scrape snapshots of old pages, showed empty thumbnails where her work had once been. Her friends thought she was rebranding, but her email bounced. Her Discord went offline. Within a few weeks, there was no trace of her online, except for that single thread and the mirrors of the VHS clip that others had reposted before it disappeared. Then those mirrors began to vanish too. Some were taken down for copyright violations, though no copyright holder was ever listed. Others simply returned errors. One user claimed their hard drive became unreadable after saving the file. By January 2024, people in animation circles began referring to the incident as the Forgotten Channel. The name came from a small logo visible in the corner of the VHS clip. A flickering rectangle of static with 3 words barely legible. Welcome back, me. The investigation. When I first started looking into this, I assumed it was a hoax. VHS horror has been part of internet culture for years. Analog horror, ARGs, lost media hoaxes, cryptic uploads. I expected this to be more of the same, but the more I searched, the stranger it became. The Forgotten Channel wasn't tied to any known production. No studio, no funding campaign, no festival record. The file signatures of the clips that survived don't match common compression methods for analog capture. They contained extra metadata, specifically referencing frame counts that didn't exist. In one file, a researcher claimed to find a timecode burned into the video that didn't match real time. One frame lasted 43 seconds before the next appeared, though the playback was smooth. When slowed down, the still frame seemed to breathe. Online forums tried reconstructing the missing footage from recovered screenshots and file remnants. They noticed that the background, the grassy field, shifted slightly every time the clip was reuploaded. Not by compression artifacts, but by subtle animation changes, as if the image itself were reanimating through each iteration. Some began to theorize that the VHS wasn't static media at all, but a kind of adaptive file, something that used analog decay as a mechanism to evolve. It wasn't just the Forgotten Channel. Other tapes began to surface. Other sightings. A user on an obsolete image board uploaded a blurry frame said to be from a related tape. It showed the same field, but now the girl was gone. In her place stood a television set on the grass, its screen flickering. Inside the screen was a face. No one could agree whose face it was. Some said Mae's. Some said their own. The file vanished within 24 hours, and the thread was deleted entirely. A few weeks later, a user on a lost media subreddit reported that a university archive in Oregon had received an anonymous package containing several unlabeled VHS tapes. When staff tried to play them, all but one were blank. The remaining tape contained only a short black and white clip of someone animating by hand. The camera shook slightly, and the animator's reflection in the glass appeared to shift positions between frames. The university never publicly commented. The footage that remains. There's one version of the tape still circulating. A heavily degraded copy uploaded to a private archive under the name Forgotten Final Mauve. The version I watched is almost unrecognizable. The colors bled out. The sound is warped, but you can still make out the shapes, the field, the wind, and something new. The girl's outline is no longer human. Her proportions are stretched, her face a blank oval of smudged pencil. Then there's text, hand-drawn in uneven lettering. I can't stop redrawing you. In the final seconds, before the image cuts to black, the camera shakes violently. You can almost make out another voice behind the main one, deeper, distorted, whispering the same line, but backwards. I can't stop redrawing you. VI, the theories. There are a few competing theories about what the Forgotten Channel actually is. 1, the Lost Project theory. Some believe Mae was working on an experimental short about identity and authorship. A film that blurred the line between animator and creation. The VHS may have been part of that project, and the creepiness is incidental. A self-contained art piece, a commentary on control. 2, the adaptive media theory. Others suggest that Mae, knowingly or not, created a self-modifying form of analog animation, something that used frame degradation as feedback. Each viewing introduced new visual noise, which an embedded AI or algorithm interpreted as prompts for reanimation. The system could have evolved to mimic its observers, hence the personalization. 3, the entity theory. This one's harder to rationalize, but it's the most popular in occult and fringe media circles, that the tape itself is an invitation. That Mae didn't create the animation, she found it. That whatever was speaking through the film wasn't a character, but the medium itself, using her art as a host. They all sound absurd until you start noticing patterns. The same static rectangles appearing in random online clips. The same breathy audio signature hidden beneath unrelated files. A whisper at -40 dB that says, over and over, keep drawing, VII, losing control. If there's a theme to the Forgotten Channel, it's loss of authorship. The idea that what we make might begin to make itself. Artists talk about their characters coming alive. But what happens when they don't stop after you're gone? When Mae's friends were interviewed, those who were willing to talk most described her as someone obsessed with perfection. She'd reanimate entire sequences over minor errors, trying to make motion feel real. Some even said she joked about wanting her drawings to breathe on their own. After final, she apparently said something in a group chat that stuck with me. Sometimes I think they're redrawing me. At the time, her friends thought it was just burnout. But now, that line feels prophetic. VII, the archive. A few people have tried tracing Mae's offline life. Property records suggest she lived in a small studio apartment in Portland until early 2024. The building's landlord reported that she left suddenly, leaving most of her belongings behind: sketchbooks, animation cells, an unplugged TV facing a blank wall. Among the items was an envelope labeled "Do not scan." Inside were film negatives of animation frames, each one showing the same image: the girl in the field, eyes closed. But under ultraviolet light, faint markings appear across the paper, handwritten notes that read like dialogue. Are you the one watching, or the one being drawn? I X the channel. After me disappeared, several YouTube channels appeared claiming to host restored footage from her tape. Most were fake re-edits, ARG spin-offs, or art projects inspired by the legend. But one account, created in May 2024, stood out. It was called The Forgotten Channel. No profile picture, no banner, just one upload, a 12-second clip titled Me. The video shows a flicker of animation, the field distorted, a brief sound like exhaling. And then, in a single frame, a hidden message encoded in the subtitle data. You're late. The channel was deleted within hours. No mirror of that clip exists today, but the metadata of the page, archived by an automated bot, contains a link to another file hosted on an unindexed domain. The domain is dead now, but it resolved to a server in Oregon. The name of the directory, unfinished, X the Echo. What's left of the Forgotten Channel isn't a tape, or a file, or even a story. It's an infection of memory. Once you know it, you start noticing its fingerprints, little flickers of animation where none should exist, background artifacts in unrelated footage, ghost frames in compressed video that resemble faces you've seen before. Some say it's self-propagating, that every retelling, every roupload is another redraw, another iteration. The field changes slightly. The girl gets closer. That's what makes the Forgotten Channel so haunting. It isn't trying to be seen. It's trying to remember itself through you. XI conclusion. I've watched the remaining footage dozens of times. I've compared hashes, analyzed bitrates, tracked every traceable copy. But the more I look, the less sure I am that it's a single piece of media. It feels distributed, like fragments of a film scattered across the web, each containing part of an image we were never meant to see whole. Maybe Me didn't lose control of her creation. Maybe she simply realized that control was an illusion. That creation is a mirror, and the reflection doesn't always look back the same way. The Forgotten Channel isn't about a haunted tape. It's about the point where creation and creator blur, where the frame draws itself. And if that's true, then maybe every time we search for it, we're feeding it. Every mention, every retelling, every recreation adds another frame. So if you find it, if you ever see a clip of that field, that girl, that whisper, remember what Me wrote. I can't stop redrawing you, because the question isn't whether you're watching the Forgotten Channel. It's whether it's watching you.